What is up, everybody? Good evening and welcome to Big Blue Avenue. I'm your host, Tom Scavetta, and I am thrilled to talk about a New York Giants win, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, let's jump right into our weekly recap as the Giants upset the Los Angeles Chargers 21-18 on Sunday, and they become the first 0-3 team to beat a 3-0 team since 2008. That was 17 years ago. Very, very long time, very uncommon. I'm sure it knocked out a lot of people in Survivor. Hopefully you were not one of them. I'm sure it ruined a lot of football pools, but I'm glad it did for a New York Giants win. First time the Giants beat the Chargers since 1998. It's been that long, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into the meat of the show, make sure to check us out if you haven't already on our social media channels on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Big Blue Avenue. Once again, my name is Tom Scavetta. Let's talk about the elephant in the room being Jaxson Dart and analyze his first ever NFL start. I am super pumped for this, ladies and gentlemen. Jaxson Dart, first-round rookie out of Ole Miss, a guy who the Giants traded up for in the draft. They traded 3 draft picks for this guy. Pick 34, pick 99 of this past year's draft, and a third-round pick next year. And I'm going to be honest, guys, Jaxson Dart looked really good. I was at my niece's christening, so my brother surprised me and had the Giants game on. I thought I was going to have to watch it on replay, but shout out, Danny. Appreciate that. Dart is a player who brings aura. He brings confidence. He is a guy who can really put the team on his back. If the Giants started Russell Wilson in this game, they are automatically 0-4. And I hate to say that because I do think Russ is a good guy. I think he cared. I think he wanted to win football games. It sucks that Russ never got to win a start as a Giants quarterback in his time as the full-time starter. But I'm happy for the future. The future is now. There were some growing pains for Jaxson Dart, but let's look at his stat line first. He was 13 of 20 for 111 yards, 1 touchdown pass, no interceptions. He had 10 rushes for 54 yards and 1 touchdown. I think the one specific downside of his performance was he was sacked 5 times, and a couple of those were avoidable. I will definitely talk about that. Russ also did have to come in for a couple of plays as Dart got checked out for a possible injury. I know he's wearing those sleeves on his knees during practice this week, possible hamstring soreness. He seems to be okay. I think moving forward, he will learn how to slide and take some less hits. But all in all, the Giants are 1-3, trying to salvage a season early by turning to their rookie. He's the first NFL player ever to win his first start, run for 50-plus rushing yards and a touchdown, have a touchdown pass and 0 interceptions. No other NFL player has done that in his first career start ever. So Jaxson Dart already making history. They like to use the reference New Jack City, as in J-A-X. I don't know if I love that because J-A-X stands for Jacksonville. But I'll roll with it for now. I kind of like Dart Dynasty. That's the name of one of my fantasy football teams. I think it'll be very interesting to see. And folks, if you have any comments about Jaxson Dart and Big Blue, we'd love to hear from you. Please drop them in the comments section below. We really do appreciate all of the love and support. And Dart is also the only quarterback over the last 20 years to win his first career start against a team 3-0 and better. This guy is a winner. He throws footballs in different spots of the field compared to Russell Wilson. This was not a soft team to go up against. Yes, their offensive line was banged up. A lot of people have been saying that, and that's true. We knew that going into the football game between Bozeman and Pipkins. Slater out for the year. Joe Alt had to leave the game early. Mekhi Becton was out with a concussion. Zion Johnson was the only healthy starting offensive lineman. A quick shout out here. Daniel Bakley saying hello. Scattaboo is good help for him. You know what's interesting, D-Bake? Dart and Scattaboo never met in person before both being drafted by the Giants. They had never crossed paths in college, which I thought was really interesting. They're both winners. They both care. They both bring positive attitude. They both bring swag. And speaking of Scavetta, I thought he had a good game. 25 rushes for 79 yards. Now, I say good game because a lot of his longer yardage came in the first half. If you break it down in the game as a whole, it's not great, just 3.2 yards per carry. But he also had that very important 2-point conversion in the second half. We saw Devin Singletary get some carries as well. That was really interesting. And it is nuts. It's a fun fact as well. So I do appreciate that comment. D-Big. Also, Robert Carter saying, what's up? I guess we'll give you a go, Pittsburgh. But thank you for the comment. The receiving core definitely took a hit this week. We'll talk more about Jaxson Dart in a little bit when we bring up our guest for the night, James Montefusco, who I am thrilled to have. We'll take a deeper dive into Dart's first NFL start. Malik Nabers tears his ACL. I believe it was the second quarter of this game. Comes out. It was a free play. And that's what really, really stunk about this. The fact that he got hurt on a free play, the Chargers jumped offside. Dart was trying to throw the ball down the field, and Nabers unfortunately landed awkwardly. He is out for the season. He had 2 catches for 20 yards in this game, finished his sophomore season with 18 catches for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. Darius Slayton had 3 catches for 44 yards. Tight end Theo Johnson scored his first touchdown of this young season as well. Wan'Dale Robinson just 3 catches for 14 yards. Again, a tough Chargers defense, a game where the Giants had a game plan. Dart gets the ball out quick, run the football. And I love how Dart stepped up in the pocket and threw that sidearm pass. That's not something many quarterbacks can do. We see Stafford do it, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, just to name a few. I'd say only about 5 or 6 quarterbacks can do that consistently. If Dart could deliver that type of ball consistently, he'll be very tough to stop. And his first touchdown pass in the NFL was that shovel pass to Theo Johnson. I thought that was a good quick release by him. Those are guys that stepped up in the receiving core when Nabers left with the injury. Now, defensively, the Chargers defense I thought was really, really good. They had 6 sacks. The Giants O-line also needs to be better. Tui Tuipulotu had 4 sacks, 5 TFLs. The one bright spot of the line was that Andrew Thomas allowed 0 pressures, but the rest of the offensive line definitely struggled. And as Dart said in his locker room speech post-game after getting his first career game ball, the defense really took it home. Now let's talk about that defense. According to Next Gen Stats, they had a 47.7% pressure rate in week 4. 20 pressures total between 3 players, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau. Giants had 2 sacks and forced 2 turnovers in this game. Thibodeau had a sack and 3 QB hits. Burns now tied for the NFL lead in sacks with 5. And Dexter Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, with his first career interception. He joked about it. He should have had 6 on that play. That's okay. It led to a Giants score anyway, but you'd love to see Dexter Lawrence and what he was able to do. Drew Phillips, I thought, had an awesome game. He picked Herbert off once. He did a job on Ladd McConkey, held to just 1 reception on 6 targets. Deonte Banks returning kickoffs was a little weird. I think it speaks volumes to Cordell Flott and the job that he's done, along with Phillips and Adebo, guys like that. It sucks to see Banks relegated to a backup special teams role, but that's who he is right now. It's not good for Banks, but Flott and Phillips were drafted high in their respective drafts for good reason. The real Banks replacement was Paulson Adebo, you could argue, even though Flott beat him out on the depth chart. So let's get into the Chargers. So Herbert only had 203 passing yards, 1 touchdown pass, was picked off twice. He was sacked twice. The Giants did a job on him. Now, Omarion Hampton, that was another story. He rushed for 128 yards on 12 carries. Not great. He had 1 score, average over 10 yards per carry. They took McConkey away from Herbert. Quentin Johnston, therefore, had 8 catches for 98 yards and 1 touchdown. And the Giants really impressed me with their offense. They were 7 of 15 on third down. They forced 14 Chargers penalties on the road, 107 yards. Giants had 8 penalties themselves, but for only 43 yards. Again, they have to clean that up. But, the Chargers having 14, that was a recipe for disaster. And the Giants did what they had to do. They kept a good top 10 offense off the football field for a majority of this game. They held the time of possession advantage, holding the ball for 35 minutes and 28 seconds. They had 0 turnovers in this game. And again, I'll bring this up. They beat the Chargers for the first time since 1998. Did it feel so good to get a win on a Sunday, ladies and gentlemen? Shout out to my cousin, John Unterweger, all the way from Oklahoma. You do a great job. Thank you, John. I always try to do my best and entertain the audience. You have more comments like John. If you want to ask me any questions about Big Blue or their upcoming opponent this week in the New Orleans Saints, feel free to do so, and we'll get to your comment as soon as we can. We'd love to hear from you. Our audience is what makes the show. Quickly here, I want to go over some takeaways. Again, I just want to do a quick recap. My week was crazy. Didn't have a whole lot of time. But quick takeaways here. We mentioned 0-3 team beats a 3-0 team for the first time since 2008. Dart's presence improved the offense drastically. Really, really awesome work by him. Cam Scavetta is the 4th best rookie through 4 weeks, according to multiple sites, Next Gen Stats, PFF. Again, say what you want about PFF, but they do have some good stuff on there. Last week was also the first time that multiple rookies had at least 50 rushing yards in a game for the Giants since 1980. That includes Dart and Scavetta. Again, Dart's legs are what makes him so special and versatile. We know he has a good arm, but in this game, their focus was on running the football, and the Chargers sort of took that away in the second half. The element of what helped Jaxson Dart and Big Blue win this game was his legs. We saw him with that 35-plus yard run in the red zone. I would have preferred he went down, but he tried to stiff arm Cam Hart. Cam Hart had some words for Dart. Dart had some words back. I'd like to see him slide there. I would definitely like to see him slide, but it is what it is. But yeah, Cam Scavetta is really good. He makes a lot of people miss. We'll talk about him a little bit more with James later. Defensively, Abdul Carter is really starting to get it, guys. He is really starting to get his role in the National Football League. Had a nice QB hit on Sunday, and pairing him with Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns on that edge rushing unit is awesome. We're seeing a lot more of him edge rushing as the weeks go on. Due to the Mike McFadden injury, he's had to play more inside linebacker than I think most Giants fans would like him to see him do. But all in all, I think he's done a fine job. He's really starting to get acclimated to the NFL style of play, and that's definitely promising from a rookie draft pick. Another comment here from D-Bake saying, athleticism is key. You see how being allowed is killing Stroud now. Not quite sure what that second sentence means. If you could clarify. He says Dart is going to be good. Well, I think, too, with Stroud, right, not to go on the Texans here, they're 1-3 because their offensive line is bad. They did nothing good to protect Stroud in this offseason. The Giants brought back all 5 starters from last season, so there's continuity there. And Dart was thrown in the fire. I see what he means, is slowed down. It's slowing down C.J. Stroud's development. We don't want to see that happen with Jaxson Dart. So the fact that the Giants have continuity on that offensive line is awesome. And you want to see Dart improve in coming weeks. And the offensive line will even be more important now without Malik Nabers. You can't just get the ball out quick all the time and get it into his hands anymore. You got to go throw to Wandale, Slayton. We're going to have to see more of Jalen Hyatt as well. Maybe Bo Collins, the UDFA out of Notre Dame. I don't know if the Giants are going to bring anybody in. Right now, it doesn't look like they will, but somebody will have to step up. 2 other takeaways from this game. Jude McAtomney, the kicker from Ireland, should get a chance to be the Giants kicker of the future, in my opinion. Do not rush Gano back. I would add Mikatomne to the 53-man roster, or maybe don't bring Gano back at all. Honestly, he's 38 years old. He's injury prone. There's definitely something there to be said. What up, Cole G? The line won't hold Dart back. It will be Kafka's play calling that will slow him down. I sort of agree with that. I think with Kafka, the play calling is different with Dart at quarterback than Russ. What I mean is the offensive line is more important now without Malik Nabers. I mean, it's always important, guys, but you got to give receivers more time to create separation. Nabers is such a good route runner. He is so quick, and he does a good job at getting open. Slayton and Wandale, good, serviceable NFL starters, but they can't create separation and have the same quickness like a Malik Nabers, for example. But I do agree Kafka's play calling is concerning. We'll see if it improves with Dart on their center. I think they'll add some more things to the playbook. But I do agree with your comment, Steve. Appreciate that. And the Giants win their 750th game in franchise history. That includes postseason. Congratulations to Big Blue. Only one of 3 NFL organizations to reach that milestone. It took them long enough. It took him long enough. Cole G says, I see what you mean. I said all off season we needed another dog at receiver. Yeah, look, Jalen Hyatt's real frustrating, man. He's real frustrating. I don't know how to feel about it. Maybe they sign a guy like Isaiah Hodgins off the Steelers practice squad and bring him back to the 53. I think that might be a viable option. Or, well, Gabe Davis is hurt right now, but he is on the reserve or injury reserve practice squad position, whatever you call that, for the Buffalo Bills. So those are 2 options right there. Quickly here, before we bring up James, let's go over our New York Giants player of the week. And this week's player of the week is none other than rookie quarterback, you guessed it, Jaxson Dart. So Dart, I mentioned 13 of 20 for 111 yards, 1 touchdown pass, 1 rushing touchdown, 54 yards on the ground on 10 carries. First quarterback in his first career start to get a win, run for 50 rushing yards, and a touchdown pass with no picks. No other player has done that. And he's also the only quarterback over the last 20 years to win his first career start against a 3-0 team. And a lot of people just love what he brings to the table. They love his energy, his physicality. And that first drive really set the tone for the Giants in week number 4. Without further ado, we will now get into our Week 5 preview against the New Orleans Saints, and we will bring up none other than one of my best friends from Long Island, New York, longtime co-host of Review and Preview, James Montefusco. James, welcome. It's awesome to have you here, and I guess we'll probably just pick up like we never left.
I would agree. It's good to be back. And am I looking forward to recapping and talking Giants with you? I know we do it on the side, but it's been a minute since we've been live on air together.
Yeah.
And also, it's I got to shake off some of the rust. I haven't been live on air, so it should be a good one. I'm looking forward to this. Thanks for having me again.
No, absolutely. And you get to join after a win. So
I know.
Definitely see.
And that's very positive considering we don't get many of those right now as New York Giant fans.
You're always good for sending me a Vic DiBitetto clip throughout the course of the week after they lose. And that makes me laugh. That gets me through the losing weeks. So we're talking about with Steve just a couple moments ago what the Giants should do at wide receiver now that Nabers has torn his ACL. He's officially been placed on injured reserve. The Giants announced that for now, they're going to go ahead and roll out with what they have on their roster. What do you think they should do?
I think we go I mean, today's already Thursday for this week. I'd say we roll with obviously the wide receiver core we have. we see who steps up. I would hope that some of the vet guys that have been with the team last year steps up. But if they don't, then I would then say we start looking at more who's on practice squads for other teams. Because I think at this point, we need a number one wide receiver, especially with Dart's development. Is with him not having a number one wide receiver, I think that may slow his development down. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think he has so much potential to bring to this team right now. And he's fresh, and he came off a big win, so he's just rolling with everything. Again, like I said, you have to figure out how this weekend looks with play calling and how well their wide receivers do. If nobody's standing out, you got to get a new guy. I know I was joking with you earlier about maybe signing OBJ again, but I don't know if I don't think he'll want to come back to MetLife after tearing his ACL on that same field.
Call up Kyle Russo.
Yeah.
Where's Kyle? Oh,
man,
question. I miss that guy. We got to get him back on one of these shows one day. The amount of arguments him and I had about Odell back in the day was just insane.
It was wild.
We would be on just phone calls. I think you were on some of them, and I'd be driving home from work, and we would just be yelling at each other like the top of our lungs. Like the Odell versus Eli argument was just insane. But I think the ship has sailed with Odell.
Yeah.
I think the most likely move would be to bring back Hodgins off the Steelers practice squad if they are to make a move. But I just want to ask you, what did you think of Dart on Sunday? I mean, I thought he played well. I think there was a lot more positive than anything with this guy.
I would agree with you completely. I think by sitting behind Russ for the first few weeks, I think that has also helped him realize how fast the NFL is and what it takes to be in the NFL. I also think that seeing him throw no interceptions is huge as a first game in doing the whole game, because I mean, Tom, we both know that that's a lot of pressure, especially playing in New York. You have family there, you have everybody second guessing you, or you're second guessing a play, and he looked comfortable. He looked like a true vet that's been in the league for years without a problem whatsoever, which was great to see.
Yeah.
And then his legs, I knew he had that running capability, but to also incorporate that and feel comfortable to get out of the pocket, or like that sidearm pass you said earlier, like you don't see that out of young guys, or if you do, usually it's a bad play. The play doesn't work, but it worked for him.
I think too, starting him at home definitely helped, right? The Chargers, obviously a much tougher opponent than the Saints, which is, I think, the first real game that people might have been eyeing for him to take over as starter. But he looked really comfortable running the offense. He has a lot of good command. Guys look up to him as a leader. He doesn't, he's not soft. He's able to get his way more often than not. It seemed the play calling was surprisingly good for the most part. I didn't love that they went for it on fourth down, where I thought they should have kicked the field goal in the fourth quarter to go up 6. But yeah, I mean, I think Dart's going to be really good. We saw Brian Dable embracing him after the game, saying that's my you-know-what guy, that he loves him, that Dart's trying to save a lot of jobs here, and he's going to have a real test. The first true road start is what's interesting, right? Once teams have film on this guy, how is Dart going to deal with that, right? How's he going to adapt? We've seen quarterbacks over the past couple of years like C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels look really good in their rookie year. Stroud regressed in his sophomore year, and he hasn't recovered from that yet. Jaden Daniels is hurt right now, so we can't really have an accurate assessment. The thing is how Dart is going to look in the coming weeks, because, to be honest with you, we're not going to make the playoffs like the Texans and the Commanders did in each of those quarterbacks' rookie seasons. But what I do think the Giants have is they have hard-nosed players. Despite the tough schedule, they have guys that are going to keep them in games. One of them being fourth-round rookie running back Cam Scatterbo. And James, I know you're going to love this guy. As you've seen the first few weeks, he's a true weapon out of the backfield. He's a good runner north and south between the tackles. He's also a solid pass catcher, and he can block. I mean, he can take a guy's head off. That's how good he is. Do you think he's overtaken Tyrone Tracy already as the new starting running back? That's even when Tracy returns from his shoulder injury.
I think so, because they'll roll Tracy out very slowly, or it's not very, maybe the wrong word, but slowly, where nothing gets re-injured or aggravated. But I think Scatterbo has pretty much, in my eyes, won that first job running back. I also think, Tom, now we're going to go a little way back. I think it could be a dynamic duo as Jacobs and Bradshaw, because I think that, you have that power, you got that physicality in Scatterbo.
Love that.
But you might have that speed in Tracy where they kind of can balance each other out, and seeing him be able to pass block, that's huge. We haven't had that in a long time. But also him just running over people. Again, we haven't had that in a long time. I think also being a rookie and him being behind or on the side of Dart, I think that has helped. I think that will make the quarterback and running back unit a lot more solidified.
Absolutely. I'm really pleased with what I've seen. And just quickly here, getting some notes on the preview. When scouting the New Orleans Saints heading into this week, they're favored by 1.5 points despite not winning a game. They are the home team. And the Giants are still only 1-3, despite that impressive win last week. Giants lead the all-time series 17-16. Saints have won the last 2 meetings, though, in 2024 and 2023. This will be the 3rd year in a row that they played. Giants last beat the Saints in overtime at the Superdome in 2021. That was a 27-21 win. And James, despite the Saints being 0-4, they're competitive. They are close in a lot of these games. We saw last week up in Buffalo, they only lost 31-19. A lot of people thought this was a slam dunk win for the Bills where they'd win by 3 or 4 touchdowns. That was not the case. The Saints actually had a lead early on. And Rattler wasn't awful. He was 18 of 27 for 126 yards and 1 touchdown. Again, not the sexiest numbers, but it is the Bills. He had 6 rushes for 49 yards as well. My one gripe with him, he's a check down king. Only 4.7 yards per pass attempt. He leans heavily on guys like Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller. So my question for you is, Spencer Rattler, 0-10 as an NFL starter. What's 1 or 2 keys for Big Blue to keep Rattler winless and improve to 2-3?
You're saying he's the check down king. I think we're able to, what you said earlier in the show, that pass rush has been coming in nicely and been actually getting to the quarterback. Yet a check down, you're getting the ball out fast. But I think when he needs to go deeper than the 5 to 7 yards, I think that's when we'll be able to hit him hard. But I also think if we know that's his play style, just drop a few men back in those check down areas or play tight man to man. You'll win a lot. You'll win most of those battles half the time, either a pass block, maybe a few picks this week. I could see us. Also, he's a running quarterback, 6 rushes for 49 yards. So, you have Dexter Lawrence dead smack in the middle. He'll swallow him up pretty fast. So I'm not overly too concerned. I do see him going 0-11 as a starter.
Oh, wow. So you just gave your pick away for this game, James. Going guns blazing. I love
guns blazing. Hey, listen, I surprise a lot of people in my pick sometimes, and it works out. So
yeah, I'll never forget when you picked the Bengals to beat the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game, and we all looked at you like you were crazy. And then it actually happens. I'm like, well, look at us now. Now we look like the doofus. My dad with the comment, Scatterbo is a little Larry Zonka. Yeah, I think him, and even I see some John Riggins in him too. he's such a tough kid, man. I mean, I'll just say it right now. I was going to save it for later, but with Scattaboo, I read a stat, and I was honestly shocked when I saw this. 83% of his yards gained so far as a pro are after contact.
That's insane.
Like, he has broken so many tackles. He has trucked guys. He's knocked them down. It's almost like he's the linebacker making the tackle on these defenders who are bigger than him, by the way. Majority, I should say. Yeah, he's so awesome to watch. You brought some good points up about the defense and rattling Rattler, pun intended. The offensive line, I thought it looked good following the return of Andrew Thomas, but the Saints obviously have a couple decent pass rushers in Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson. How do you evaluate this offensive line? Obviously, it's nice to not see Evan Neal starting this year. And, ever since Andrew Thomas has come back, it seems like the line has gelled. They've come into their own. They're not great yet, but they're getting by. They're making enough plays to allow the quarterback a chance to win them football games. And, we saw that in week 2 against Dallas. We also saw that in week 4 against the Chargers. So 2 out of 4, not the worst, not the best.
No, Andrew Thomas, we could say this before he got hurt. He's kind of that glue of the offense of that line. The left tackle is a very important position, in football. But to see the offensive line starting to gel, and it's not like, the offense is going out there. God only knows how this line is going to hold up this week or whatnot.
Right.
He's definitely solidified it, and I think a lot of the guys feel comfortable across the line, not just the QB, but across the line, of that they know, great, we have Andrew Thomas, we know he's locked down. We don't have to always throw an extra man over there, or we know that there's probably something that's a comfortable feeling when they all walk up to that line, which is great to see. Am I concerned about some of the pass rushers that the Saints have? Of course, because Andrew Thomas might be able to hold his own, but if the other side of the line can't, I think this is a good test for them this week. Dallas was a good test too, but I think the Saints have just a few extra pass rushers that could test this line again. Kansas City alone, Spags draws up plays like no tomorrow. So, but I think Saints is another good team to test this line. And if they prove well, whether we win or lose, if they still hold up and prove well, we know that the offensive line is becoming finally solidified, because for years it's just been a hot pile of garbage.
Right. You got John Runyon next to Andrew Thomas at left guard, second year of his 3-year deal. John Michael Schmitz, third year of his rookie deal. Probably the best start to a season he's had. Greg Van Roten, who they brought back, he's a temporary starter, but he's a good serviceable option to have until Marcus Bowe is ready to be a full-time starter. And then you have Illuminor, who I hope they extend at right tackle. He'll probably see a lot of Chase Young in this game. Chase Young, the former commander, now on the Saints, he's definitely a little concerning. But, protecting Jaxson Dart is key, right? The Saints had 3 sacks on Josh Allen last week, and he only threw the ball 22 times. And the Giants, despite the offensive line improving, they have allowed 13 sacks, which is tied 4th most in the NFL. Again, this is recent weeks. The Giants have looked improved. Dart took 5 sacks against the Chargers last week, although I think 2 of those were more his fault, where I'd like to see him throw the football away. Dart he also needs to just protect himself, right? Try not to extend plays too much. I know he wants to get first downs and everything, but your health is most important here. Making winning plays is great, but you also want to slide before you get knocked out, and then you won't be available for the rest of the game and then maybe the next game if you do it too often. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. And I think, James, too, it's important to note with a rookie running back, right? A rookie quarterback and running back going into this game. Establishing the run is going to be key, because we saw what the Bills did against the Saints last week. They ran for 165 yards on New Orleans, averaged over 5 yards per carry, and had 2 touchdowns. The Saints, not the best at defensive tackle. Brian Breesy, more of a pass rushing DT. And then Devon Godchuk, who's been in the league for a long time. The Saints haven't really been able to replace him. I'm excited to see what Scavetta can do on the ground, what Dart can do on the ground. And I think if the Giants can run the football well, James, it'll lead to more touchdowns, specifically in the red zone, an area where they struggled when Russell Wilson was the quarterback.
Yeah, I think if they're able to get that run game off the ground, I think that will be huge for Dart. Also, you said he's taken hits already this season. I mean, last week. I think also him and Scatterboo and everybody else watching film from last week, I think they'll make adjustments in the correct way for Dart to avoid some of those hits, but also film for Scatterboo to just kind of go off on this defense. Once he gets in open space, he opposes 3 guys and he can truck 2 out of 3 of them. Which I think is great to see. Again, I think this week is a good test for the run game. We don't have Nabers lining up on the outside, and he's wide receiver number 1. But if they're able to get that run game off the ground, listen, Alvin Kamara, as we know, and I know from fantasy, he can go off on any given week. So if Scatterboo's able to kind of get that Alvin Kamara-esque run game going in New Orleans, that will help us to win, but also help us in the red zone where, like you just said, we've struggled in the past with Wilson. And we didn't really struggle this week. So if we can keep that red zone percentage of scoring up, even if it's a field goal, I take it.
Let's talk about the red zone offense here quickly. Giants were 2 of 5 in the red zone last week in scoring touchdowns. They are still last in the NFL in red zone scoring, converting just 26.5% of their attempts into touchdowns, I should say, specifically. The Saints defense, however, this is a promising stat for Big Blue. They've allowed red zone touchdowns on 77% of their opponents' drives. That is 30th in the National Football League. James, what's one key that we haven't mentioned yet that you think the Giants need to do in order to beat New Orleans? I know so far we talked about establishing the run and protecting Jaxson Dart.
I think I'm going to flip it on the other side of the ball. I'm going with defense. I think if you keep Alvin Kamara tamed, or as tamed as possible, and he's not running up and down the field. I mean, we've seen it in years past times where the defense, can contain him for so long or so fast, and then all of a sudden he's done 120 yards before we know it. It's like you contained him for the first quarter. What happened to the other 3? Right. I think if the defense plays well and builds on last week, I know you mentioned Thibodeau earlier, and who else? I'm blanking on
on defense, defense.
Carter. I think if they're able to build off of that and work together, especially with the pass rush, I think that will help us slow down that Saints run game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's important too, right? They kind of give up a lot of yardage to Hampton last week on limited carries. The Giants have allowed the 4th most rushing yards in the NFL. They're also tied 2nd for the most rushing touchdowns allowed. And a lot of that is due to not having Micah McFadden at linebacker. He's on injured reserve. He's going to be out for a long time. It's not a season-ending injury, but he's going to be missing a lot of time, and I think that's hurt them. They've tried Darius Muasau. They've tried Swayze Bozeman. They've even tried Abdul Carter at the inside linebacker position. It's really going to be a cohesive effort. And I think, too, you look at the Saints' offensive line. On paper, it's not great, but they do have some good players. You have rookie left tackle Kelvin Banks, Trevor Penning at left guard, who came into the league as a tackle, Eric McCoy, who's been a staple at center, Cesar Ruiz, who's been underwhelming. He is out for this game. He will not play, so it'll likely be Dylan Raduns starting at right guard, and then Talise Fuaga at right. tackle. And then you got to think about this too. This is a revenge game. Former Giants tight end Jack Stoll is the primary blocking tight end for the Saints, who, by the way, scored his first NFL touchdown a couple weeks ago. So shout out Jack Stoll. He never made the Giants 53-man roster. I thought they should have gave him a shot because in terms of blocking, you need good blocking tight ends on this roster. Now, the Giants have that with Daniel Bellinger, but it really helps you with your run game. And I feel like, too, James, the league has gone away from the fullback position. And it feels like it's just been replaced by that blocking tight end, right? I feel like a lot of people view it as a waste of a roster spot. But all in all, the Saints historically have been really good at running the football. They have also gone away from the fullback position. So it'll be interesting to see if that's a continuing trend moving forward. Obviously, we're in more of a pass-happy league now, but when you have a quarterback like Spencer Rattler, I can't see him throwing the ball 40 times a game. No, it doesn't seem to be in his recipe. And that's why if you contain Alvin Kamara, you get them into second and long, third and medium, whatever it is. You can blitz Rattler. You can try to get him under duress. I think pressuring Rattler is key, right? We talked about this earlier. The Giants' defense is really, really good at rushing the passer. You have Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. And the Saints allowed 4 sacks last week, guys. And the Giants, who took advantage of a banged-up O-line last week, had 12 quarterback hits on Justin Herbert, who, James, is regarded as easily a top 10 quarterback in this league. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the Giants can, I'm going to do this one more time, rattle Spencer Rattler on Sunday.
I would agree with you. I actually like that nickname a lot. Maybe the announcers will pick that up if they do copyright it real fast, so you can get something. No, I agree with you. I think it's going to be an interesting game because if we're able to get to the quarterback, I don't think Rattler can throw the 35, 40 plus yards. I mean, in a way that every other quarterback should. And, being able to get hits on Justin Herbert last week was huge for this defense, and they'll just build off of that momentum into this week.
Right. So we will transition now into our players to watch. But before we do that, I do want to talk about Dart one more time, James, because I feel like he's a player to watch for both of us. In fact, we have a comment from Kevin here about it. Hey, guys, let's go Giants. What's up, Kevin? Thank you so much for the comment. Hope you're doing well. Do you think Dart will have a good passing attack against the Saints secondary? So we look at the Saints secondary right now. It's Alontae Taylor, who's on the trade block. Kool-Aid McKinstry entering his second year. And Isaac Yiadom, the former Giant. Yiadom is not a good starting corner. He is a backup at best. The fact that he's still getting starting reps in this league is crazy to me. They brought in Justin Reed from Kansas City as a safety via free agency. And I'm trying to remember who their other safety is. It's escaping my mind at the moment, but that is probably for good reason because their secondary is not the best. They lost Paulson Adebo in free agency to our Giants. Giants signed him on a 3-year deal, and Adebo has looked great so far. This is a revenge game for him. In fact, I'll make this bold prediction. I think Adebo picks off Rattler once in this game. I know Rattler's only thrown 1 pick all season, but I think Adebo is able to do it. Now, with Dart, James, I think he is going to have a good game. 1-0 as a starter. I didn't know this, but he won the Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player last week. The game was on CBS. They gave him a little Nickelodeon splash. Put him in the splash zone during practice one day this week just to recognize him. I thought that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, Kevin, I think it's going to come down to his development and, his chemistry with these receivers and the play calling, his familiarity in the offense. Can he make second and third reads in a timely manner? I think he will, and I'll think he'll do it faster than Daniel Jones ever could. Daniel Jones was a good first read quarterback, but the problem was he couldn't get past his first read. Whenever he got blitzed, he lasered in on his first read, and that's what led to turnovers. I don't think Dart is going to do that. He's SEC tested. He is really good under pressure. We've seen that. He makes the correct throw more often than not. Again, my one concern with Dart is his durability. I don't know how he's going to be in that category. He is an unknown. He likes to run and take off, and he doesn't necessarily know how to slide properly yet, James, which is a slight concern.
Yeah, that is a big concern that Dart doesn't know how to slide because, I mean, we've seen helmet hits, and that's knocked out players for the season, but also longer. I also think that Dart this week, in my eyes, his goal and the coach's goal should be making sure he's comfortable with the wide receivers. The new true number one wide receiver. We won't really know who that is until Sunday when we're watching the game on who he's targeting the most.
Right.
But he needs to make sure he's comfortable with those guys. They need to make sure they've gone all over the place with Scavetta, all the different check downs and get him involved. But I also think that, the biggest thing, at least if I was coaching him, is taking time out of practice and repetition of slides. That way, then he's just used to sliding because you just can't stand up and take hits, or you can't go head first. Or even worse, you can't slide and get your cleats stuck on the turf. Because the last thing we ever want is that. I think he'll have a good pass attack, I think, once he gets comfortable. I don't think right away he'll go right out there, but I think when he gets comfortable, we'll see those longer throws, those bigger plays.
And we'll see more throws over the middle of the field with Jaxson Dart.
Yeah.
That's one area that Russ could not attack much at all due to his lack of height and the fact that the O-line was just letting them fry. And unfortunately, when your O-line is a little bit below average, shorter quarterbacks tend to not succeed in that type of offense. No quarterback is bound to succeed in that situation, but a taller quarterback can see the pressure coming at him and escape it a little bit better. Shout out to my mom saying, nice to see James on with you. Shout out, Mom. Took her to the airport this morning, so that was fun. Always a long ride to Kennedy. James, I don't know about you. I'm more of a LaGuardia guy.
Yeah, I think I might be leaning more towards the LaGuardia guy now. Kennedy has all the construction going on.
Never ending, too.
No, it's just like the Bell Parkway that's right around there. It's never ending construction.
Absolutely. Shout out LaGuardia Airport. If their CEO is listening by any chance. Great analysis. Thank you. Yep. Larry Zonka, Super Bowl winning running back, by the way. Little fun fact. James, all right. Who are you watching for the Giants outside of Jaxson Dart? I think I know one of the guys you're going to roll with, but give me two guys on the Giants you think can make an impact in this game.
All right, I'm going to go with Scavetta. I think that's probably who you were thinking of that I was rolling with. I just like his physicality in the run game. I also just like how he's running. There's just something that it just feels natural for a Giants running back that we haven't seen in so long. The second guy, I'm going on the flip side of the ball, is our defense. I know I have to pick somebody, so I am going to pick somebody. I can't say the unit as I would love to, but I want to go with in my head I'm tossing two names around real fast, and I am going to go with Carter. I know you said earlier in the show that he's been more in an interior linebacker, but by him learning that may not hurt us down the line because you have another player that can easily play that position. But having him come off the ends are huge. I want to say him as my second guy. I mean, the defense as the unit, right. I think is great coming back.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I also think that Abdul Carter is a great player to watch. But for me, I'm going to go a little bit different on defense here. I like Paulson Adebo just because it's a revenge game for him. 3 interceptions in just 7 games last year for the Saints before his season-ending injury. So far for the Giants, has 31 tackles and 4 passes defended. So we'll see if he is able to make a play in this game. This game could come down to whoever turns the ball over less. And we'll definitely see what happens. And James, looks like Brandon Gilmore has a comment for you there. Monty possesses negative ball knowledge. Ooh, the shade that is being thrown. Brandon,
all right.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Hey, it's been a while since I've been on air, so I kind of rusty talking about all this stuff. It's easier over text, but yeah, it's thanks Brandon for checking in and watching the show tonight. Much appreciated. My other friends call me Monty, so that part of half of my last name, so that's where that comes from, if anybody was curious.
Absolutely, folks. If you're new and just tuning in for the first time, make sure to check us out on our social media on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. I'll leave this up and running again for a moment. But yeah, I really think that the Giants are in an interesting spot in this game defensively. They could get to Rattler a lot. The matchup between Brian Burns and rookie left tackle Kelvin Banks is good. Burns has had a sack plus in every game. But for me, I'm going to go with the tight end Theo Johnson. You know me, James. I'm a big tight end guy.
Yes, you are.
Tall player. So far on the year, just 9 catches for 66 yards, but he had that 1 touchdown last week. And again, Dart is the quarterback now, so he is going to target the middle of the field a lot more. I really think that Theo Johnson is going to be an imperative factor to the success of this offense, especially now without Malik Nabers. We know the Saints will be keying in on guys like Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. We know Wan'Dale is more of the short intermediate route guy, although he displayed some long ball ability against Dallas in week 2. And we know Slayton is a receiver with speed who will have to be more involved. He's now entering his 7th year with the Giants, which is crazy to say. Second longest tenured Giant, by the way. Quick honorable mention for me, Drew Phillips. He is going to be matched up against Saints receiver Rashid Shaheed. And last week, he did a job on Ladd McConkey. He had 4 passes defended and 1 pick. And when you look at Rashid Shaheed, he has good speed. He's an athletic guy. He's been more reliable than Chris Olave so far. 18 catches for 174 yards and 1 score. In fact, he's one of my players to watch for the Saints. James, is it safe to say you're rolling with Kamara here, or is there anyone else on offense that sticks out for them?
Maybe I'll throw in – no, I'm playing. I was going to say Rattler, but no, Kamara. But again, Rattler could just show up and just prove us so wrong this week.
He could.
So, no, I'm going to go with Kamara because he's been in the league, for what?
Like 8-9 years.
8-9 years now? Mm-hmm. So he has to be, what, 34?
No, he's in his – I think he's 30.
30? Okay.
He came in young, so he's not that old yet.
Okay. I think because that's why I was trying to figure out. He's not towards the end of his prime. I think he's also faced some up and down on that offensive line that he runs in front of. But I would say Kamara. I mean, he did 15 rushes for 70 yards last week?
Yep.
Something like that. He's easily 100+ yard back. So definitely if the Giants can't contain him, watch out. Rattler will be able to just do his dink and his dunks and his short little passes if Kamara is able just to explode, but I don't think that will be the case. But Kamara is the player to watch on my end.
Yeah, I definitely agree that he's an important player. Him and Kendre Miller, that 1-2 punch. I know Miller has 124 rushing yards as well. Mm-hmm. Kamara has actually not found the end zone in 3 straight games against the Giants, so we'll see if Big Blue can keep him out. And if Kamara and Miller do succeed on Sunday, James, it'll open up the pass game for Spencer Rattler, a guy who I know we haven't spoken too highly of, but he does have some good potential in his game. The reason why we haven't spoken highly of him is the Saints have yet to score more than 22 points in a game this season. Rattler does have a 67% completion percentage for 765 yards, 5 touchdowns to just 1 interception I think Rattler just plays a little bit too conservatively for me, specifically. And Brian asks if we're signing Odell or what. No, we are not. Sorry, Brian.
Let me call Kyle real fast. He'll disagree. No, Brian, I don't think Odell is going to come back until MetLife decides to change out their turf.
Look, man, this is the face of our offense now. It's Jaxson Dart and it's Cam Scatterbo. These are our guys. Look at the vibes in the locker room. Scatterbo was a winner at Arizona State. Dart was a winner at Ole Miss. Those guys are so excited to be here. You know, both coming over from the West Coast, Dart from Utah, Scatterbo from California. Those two guys, and hopefully Malik Nabers when he comes back next year. That is the future of our offense right there. Those three specifically, you know, and you still have your cornerstones and Andrew Thomas. If Darius Slayton sticks around through his contract, hopefully Theo Johnson develops more and Wan'Dale gets re-signed. But I think that our offense is fine. We don't need Odell Beckham Jr. We will figure it out. If we do sign a receiver, Brian, keep an eye out for Isaiah Hodgins, who's currently on the Steelers practice squad. We are allowed to sign him off the Steelers practice squad, but it would have to be directly to our 53-man roster. So that could be done if we want. The spot is currently open. They do have the little Jordan Humphrey on the practice squad as well as Amir Smith-Marset, by the way, just a heads up. I don't think we'll see Olszewski involved in the passing game much. But keep an eye on guys like Jalen Hyatt and Bo Collins, too. We'll see what the Saints defense does, James, in order to keep the Giants true on Sunday. One other player for the Saints on offense, my player to watch, is Juwan Johnson, the tight end. He's a beast. Leads the team with 204 receiving yards on 22 catches with one score. Last week against the Bills, he had 3 catches for 28 yards. He is a good primary tight end to have. Again, he's listed as average, but his play is better than that, and he crushes the Giants. He has 3 career games against the Giants. He scored a touchdown in each of those 3 games, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're booking your parlays or something this weekend, Juwan Johnson scoring a touchdown might be in the cards. Start him if he's on your fantasy team, especially due to the fact that the Giants do not have Micah McFadden for majority of this 2025 season.
Yeah.
Explain this. Scatterbo runs the ball like he eats paint recreationally, as in he butts his head into the wall and like licks off the paint or something. Like, what exactly do you envision that as, James? Because that's an interesting one for me.
That you know, I think it's I don't know how to answer that, Brandon.
Man,
I know Cam Scatterbo's on a different level, but it's like, you know, I don't know, maybe he's I don't know. I honestly it's speechless. But
he is a guy that does some weird stuff, though, I'm sure. Scatterbo, that is. Not you, Brandon. Cam Scatterbo, the guy that does some weird stuff.
Scatterbo's on a different level, and that's why I love him. I actually might want a jersey on him.
Yeah. Good old number 44. Thank you guys so much for the comments. We really do appreciate this. James, defensively, anybody on the Saints that catches your eye?
I mean, probably Carl Granderson. You know, he plays across from Cameron Jordan. Yeah, I said that incorrectly. You know, I think Cameron Jordan is an elite guy, and you know, you need somebody to balance him out. What does he have? 20 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. You know, he leads the team in that. I think that going with him would make the most sense. I don't, to be honest with you, haven't fully watched much of the Saints defense.
Don't blame you.
But he's the most standout guy I see right now. And I think would be able to make the bigger impact. If they shut him down, you look at Cameron Jordan next to him or across the line, he may be able to light up the scoreboard. But if not, it would be Carl that would be able to to handle it.
Yeah, look, the key is here the Saints can't stop the run. It's like trying to stop a nosebleed without attending to it properly. That's how they've been run defensively this season. James Cook ran all over them last week. I'd expect Scavetta to have a big game. I think Dart will get some yards on the ground as well. Defensively, for me, I am looking at Demario Davis, leads the team with 38 tackles, 4 TFLs, and 1 fumble recovery. He plays next to another good linebacker and Pete Werner. Those two linebackers have been solid. The problem is the first level defensive tackles cannot stop the run well. They cannot win their matchups in the trenches. Running backs are going through those A and B gaps like Moses parting the Red Sea, quite frankly. And it's a massive problem because Werner and Davis at that second level, before they can get to the running backs, they're getting blocked by linebackers already because Breesy and Godchuk, not to single those two guys out, they're not winning their matchups more often than not. And that's a problem. And that's a big part of the reason why they're 0-4. It's football 1-1. I know we talked lowly of the Saints defense, but when you really process this, guys, I want you to consider this. Before last year, the Saints had one of the best defenses in the NFL, but they had a garbage offense. Now their defense is unfortunately stooping towards the level of their offense, and that is a problem. You lost Paulson and Debo. Chase Young has been very inconsistent. They can't stop the run. Demario Davis is 35 years old. They haven't done a good job of bringing in the right personnel and coaches, in my opinion, to be a top-level defense. So I'm looking at Demario Davis to step it up. Alante Taylor, there are rumors, the cornerback, that he could be on the trade block if the Saints continue to slide here. He leads the secondary that features Kool-Aid McKinstry, Justin Reed, guys like that. By the way, Kool-Aid, that's a pretty cool name. Former Alabama Crimson Tide corner. He did pick off Josh Allen once last week, so that is something to consider there. All right, James, steal a player from the Saints. It could be any player. It could be stolen to fill a hole that the Giants need, or just a player that you happen to really like and you'd love to see in blue.
Rattler. No, I'm playing.
Put you on the spot here.
You did. You know, I am a big Alvin Kamara fan. I would say if we have a good running back or what Scadawoo's producing, I would love to see Kamara in blue because I think he can do some potential down in New York. But I would also probably, you know what? The name sounds cool. Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Very good. Right?
Yeah. The name just sounds funny and cool. I think he would be pretty good on the in blue, but for real, it would be Alvin Kamara.
Absolutely. Pairing him with Scadaboo in that backfield would be awesome. Awesome. Brian says the same. He would also steal Kamara. Also says he thinks big rushing yards for Dart. I agree. I think Dart runs for at least 40 yards in this game, guys. Dead ass. I mean, I think him and Scadaboo are really good running together. That 1-2 punch. For me, though, I'm going to go a little bit different here. I happen to believe that the Giants need help at linebacker right now. I am not taking the linebacker that you think in Demario Davis. I am taking his counterpart, Pete Werner. This is a guy who is entering a contract year, has a lot to prove, and guys typically play the best on their contract years. Unfortunately, we lost Mike McFadden for the majority of this season, and I do not trust our linebacker depth at all. We've been promoting guys from the practice squad like Swayze Bozeman and Neville Hewitt to try to fill some voids. We've been getting by, but it hasn't been ideal. I would just prefer more depth at the linebacker position itself. And if something happens to Bobby Okereke, we're cooked. And I think if you steal a linebacker from the Saints like a Pete Werner, it allows Abdul Carter to untap into his full potential as a pass rusher. Right now, Carter is having to play a little bit of inside linebacker. I just realized I spelled from wrong, so apologies about that, folks. Definitely a little fast typing typo. But I think that the Giants have a good shot to win this game on Sunday. That's what it really comes down to, James. Injury report. Dylan Raduns did not practice with a toe. Cesar Ruiz did not practice with an ankle, so they don't know who's starting at right guard. Chase Young did not practice today with a calf. Trey Palmer, the receiver, and the corner, Isaac Yadam, also did not practice. Taysom Hill is slowly recovering. He was limited today. He's another guy we didn't really talk about that, if he does play, could have an impact on this game. Any thoughts on Hill quick? I almost forgot about him.
I honestly thought he wasn't even on the Saints.
Hill,
he's a secret weapon for that team. He can honestly, it seems like he can play any position on that offensive line or offense in general. If he plays, I think that would be great for Rattler. If he doesn't, well, you know what? He's out. But he's that Swiss Army knife on that offensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. Quickly here for the Giants, Dexter Lawrence did not practice with an illness. Tyrone Tracy out with a shoulder for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Tyler Nubin popped up. The safety was limited with a groin. In fact, all 3 top safeties were limited in practice today. That includes Holland and Belton as well. Looks like Raheem Nunez-Roches should return this week. The biggest question marks are Dexter Lawrence and Tyler Nubin at this juncture. I don't expect Tracy to play. It'll be Scavetta and Singletary in the backfield this week. It's that time to make our predictions. James, I know you said you're taking the Giants before, but what is your final score prediction for this week?
Oh, let's see. Giants 28-24. Another close game, but we sneak it out.
All right. Not bad. You have the Saints scoring a little bit above their average. It could happen. That hole of not having McFadden could hurt. My dad says 28-14 Giants. Brian says 24-16. I'm guessing he's taking the Giants as well, based off of that number. I don't want to do this and clean sweep here, but I'm going to have to. I'm taking the Giants as well. I think the Giants win by a final score of 24-17. I think the Giants win by a touchdown. This is a road game. It could be tough. And guys, look, this is a game that the Saints have had circled on their schedule as a potential win. Their fans are thinking the exact same thing that we're thinking. This is a winnable game. You have to make more plays to win a football game. I am a little concerned that, you beat a 3-0 team at home to get your first one of the season. You could have a setback, on the road the following week. So, yeah, and they do need a big game from Burns this week. He has looked fantastic this year. I do think he gets another sack going up against rookie left tackle Kelvin Banks, who's looked good. But I think Burns is an extremely tough matchup for him. 24-17. I think Scatteraboo scores. I think Dart has 2 through the air. And I think we kick a field goal. Ultimately, I think that's how the Giants win. And improve to 2-3 on the year, James, in a much-needed win before they take on the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 6.
Definitely coming off with a 2-win game will be huge for Dart, especially going it. Are they home against Philly or are they in Philly?
So they play Philly twice within 3 weeks. I'm not sure which one is home.
So either way, they're still playing Philly, which honestly, right now, MetLife is almost a home team to any NFC East division rival, it seems like. So if he comes out with a win, it ultimately helps him go into playing Philly wherever they're playing. I also think that you're also able to then open up so many more play options after this week, because then you know who a wide receiver is for you. Like I said earlier in the show, that this is a week where we find out who steps up at that wide receiver core, and whoever does, the Eagles will only have this much film on them and on that wide receiver and Dart, because it's just one game.
Right.
So,
yeah,
that's how I feel.
I definitely agree. I think it's going to be a good week for the Giants. Fingers crossed. I definitely think the Saints are a team that you cannot overlook despite their 0-4 record. James, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. It has been a lot of fun. We have to do this again very soon. Maybe we'll do a little post-mortem on the Mets or something after this. We'll definitely figure it out. We'll definitely put it up on our YouTube when we do that. And one final comment here, I'll pin for Brian. Offensive play calling has to be more creative for this team. I do agree. And Brian, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I definitely hope to see you back here in the comment section. Folks, if you are new and joining us for the first time, or if you've been here for a few times and haven't done so yet, shameless plug, make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. We appreciate all of your support. He's James Montefusco. I am Tom Scavetta. Friendly reminder to love one another. And without further ado, James, let's go.
Go
Big
Blue.
Blue.
Oh, I beat you to it. My bad.